Hello guys, I hope now I'm speaking your language, and honestly I would be happy to learn it myself as I'm a big fan of it. But in this case you may wait for my videos for ages. Not to waste the time, we're using dubbing with some help from AI. So go to your settings on YouTube right now and choose your language. This is the easiest way for me to continue uploading videos in your language. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is Lyadov, and today's episode comes to you from Singapore. We generally think of Singapore as a very advanced city with a high standard of living, super clean streets, perfect order, exorbitant prices, fintech HQs, an ultra-modern port, and so on. And yes, all of that is true, but this place has a darker side to it as well. Today, the People's Project reporter Alex Pototsky will talk to some of the former bosses of the Triads, the Chinese transnational organized crime syndicate. Visit a place where you can get anything illegal and investigate the crime situation on the streets of the world's most law-abiding country. This is the People Project and Alex Pototsky exploring the dark side of Singapore. We are here to pull a little undercover stunt, and I've just spotted a dealer selling pills illegally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a shirt over my tee so I can keep recording while I'm talking to him. Obviously, I can't leave the mic in plain sight, so I'll hide it in my pocket. No one will see it, but it will be recording everything quite alright. My buddy will be staying behind, and I'm off to find out what they've got. This is Geylang, Singapore's seediest district. As night falls, the streets get busy. There are endless shops selling all sorts of stuff you usually don't expect to see next to each other. Here, you can walk out of a shop selling flip-flops right into a sex toys joint next door. Alex needs to make his way beyond the front rows.
What is this?
That's right, guys. Alex is here to buy some Viagra, but not the kind you can get in a drugstore. This is extremely strong stuff, and you can't get it anywhere else.
How much? This one? 30. And this one? Two of these. 40.
Alex is the only foreigner here. The market's full of the locals who need to buy something illegal, mostly recreational drugs and alcohol. Viagra is also in huge demand.
1 piece of makan, 30 minutes.
Okay. 30 minutes? Okay. And this one?
Yeah, same. 1 piece of makan. No 2 pieces.
But if I eat 2 pieces, what happens?
No, 1 okay lah.
Okay.
So Alex made a sample purchase of Singaporean Viagra as part of our investigation. And look at these pills, they're penis-shaped. Even some tourists asked to take a photo when they saw them.
Do you want?
No, thank you.
And that's smart because they're fake. You can experience mean side effects or even die taking them. And everyone knows that. People are aware that counterfeit Viagra can be toxic. But the problem with the authentic drug is that you need a prescription from a licensed doctor. And to supply the demand, Geylang is now full of guys peddling fake Viagra. Buyers know they're fake. I've been told there was even a guy who died after taking it right on top of a sex worker. This really happened. Geylang is Singapore's notorious red light district. Behind the signs for massage parlors, you'll find brothels. Prostitution is actually legal here, but to work officially, women have to take a ton of tests, get regular checkups, and pay taxes. That's why many prefer to operate off the books, alone or in a partnership with someone. See this girl on the sidewalk? She's a freelance sex worker, and right next to her, a Viagra salesman, everything a client might want. So you can choose a girl to your liking and buy a couple of packs of Viagra all at once. Though, like I said earlier, if you take that Viagra, there's a chance you'll drop dead right on top of her, because it's fake. Singapore is a modern city-state with high salaries, high quality of life, and very strict laws that are actually enforced. The word is that this country has actually managed to eliminate corruption and crime. But is that really true? Does Singapore really have no dark side? That's what I am here to find out. This is Alex Pototsky for the People Project. Welcome to Singapore.
This is Geylang. Geylang is known as the underbelly of Singapore. This area is where all the gangsters ply. All right, there are lots of gang activities down here, like selling of drugs, loan sharking, protection money. People are still doing that.
There is police here, but they don't seem to be super active. Alex only spotted a couple of officers, and imagine this, they were just chilling doing basically nothing.
So you're looking for the people who selling pills, or you here for other case? So did you catch anyone today?
Because it's not as easy said than done. When they see them coming from afar, they will scram. All right, but at least their presence here would deter them from selling.
Ah, so you're standing here to scare the people. Yeah. Because just now I saw one guy, so in case if you want to talk with him.
You know, I saw at least 2 guys selling fake pills on my way to talk to the policeman. But the thing is, as soon as a policeman starts walking their way, they'll be immediately tipped off and will simply bolt and continue selling somewhere else. Right now, the vibe here is pretty much relaxed. Even the cops seem completely relaxed. But it wasn't always like this. Singapore is a city-state in Southeast Asia and an island off the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula, with the Pacific Ocean to the west and Indian Ocean to the east. It's the biggest trade port in this part of the world. For nearly 150 years, the British had it under their control. It became independent long after World War II. The emerging nation was led by an ambitious politician, Lee Kuan Yew, who is now widely regarded as the founding father of modern Singapore. He inherited a poor, backward country with 0 natural resources and even fewer prospects. Oh, and on top of it, it was drowning in corruption. Back in the day, newspapers openly called Singapore a retarded and poverty and vice-ridden place. Yet Lee pulled off the Singaporean miracle by enforcing massive economic reforms and attracting foreign investments. He knew that he had to eradicate corruption before global corporations start pouring money into Singapore, so he jailed countless bribe takers, took the press under control, and started regulating everything, including citizens' daily lives. As a result, Singapore is now extremely clean, pretty, and safe. Before it happened, however, every single district and street was some gangsters' turf.
Every single street in Geylang is housed a particular gang. All right, like this one, Lorong 18. Lorong 18 on the opposite is the most notorious street in Geylang. Over there, the most people died. All right, a lot of gang activities, a lot of illegal activities over there. The most in Singapore. Next to it, Lorong 16, there is a different gang on that street. But, you know, since they're in close proximity, they do their own business, they do their own. They try not to interfere in each other's business.
Geylang isn't the only area that used to be full of trouble. Meet Bruce, our today's guide to Singapore's criminal history and geography.
In Hokkien, it's called Kiao Keng Kao. So Kiao Keng basically means gambling den. So this street used to be filled with gambling dens. Not only gambling dens, but opium dens too. My maternal grandfather had a shop opposite the first shop. My grandfather passed away when I was 8 years old. I did not have, I mean, he loved me, he doted on me. I do not have a lot of memories of having conversation with him, but what I do remember was he had 2 tattoos. One of a dragon and one of a tiger here. I know of a triad that has the name of a tiger and a dragon in it. So I guess if I put 1 and 1 together.
The triads are like organized crime groups everywhere else, much like Japan's Yakuza clans or Italian mafia. Basically, it's a Chinese mafia organization that consists of multiple gangs controlling drug trafficking, prostitution, gambling, and other criminal businesses. Triads expanded to Singapore since the early 19th century, when the economy was on the rise under the British colonial rule. Poor Chinese migrants flocked here, chasing work and a better life. But in addition to laborers seeking honest work, members of the Chinese mafia arrived to explore the market. In a nutshell, the Triads work like a network of street gangs, and Bruce was part of one.
My gang is a dying breed, a dying gang right now. We are not actively recruiting any people at the moment. So I guess as with more years pass by, as the older generation, people like me, when we die, our gang will get smaller and smaller and smaller, and one day just poof, gone. In the early to mid 80s, in my district itself, like my district, we had like about 200 over members. Yeah, we had like 200 over members.
So by this age, Bruce was already using and going in and out of prison. He got locked up 5 times for street fights and drug dealing with short breaks in between, and a few times he was even sentenced to caning. That's when they beat you with a stick. It might sound like a better deal than spending years behind bars, but the fact is it's incredibly painful, and Bruce still shudders remembering it.
When you are caned, you are butt naked. They strip you naked. First time when I was caned, all they did was they tie a sandbag around my body waist, because they were afraid that if the caner missed, the cane might hit you on the wrap you up in sandbags here and even until your thigh, so only your backside is exposed.
The convict is strapped to a rack and cannot even move. The blows are delivered by trained officers, literally called prison executioners.
All those dudes, I tell you, they have arms as big as my thighs. I kid you not. They are tall, big. Let me tell you now when they cane you, the caners stand exactly behind you, raise up their arms, and then when they cane stroke 1, they do this, they pivot and down all the way. Cane, they do this, okay? And then 1. So one of them who was an old-timer, Hokkien back then was the official prison language. Don't need to be afraid. Say, I've been in prison many times, I've been caned many times. Of course it's good, you're going to feel the pain, but the more it lands, what will happen is your backside will become numb.
But Bruce didn't go numb, and the pain was horrendous, and yet he wasn't even allowed to groan.
If you are a gang member in prison when you take a stroke, you cannot say anything. You must keep quiet, you must keep your lips sealed. If you do that, you go back, you're liable to face, you can get ostracized, you can get ridiculed, you can get punished.
He was caned 3 times. First time, he received 12 strokes, then 6, then 3. That's 21 in total, almost the top limit. Today, the limit is set as 24 strokes per session, but in the earlier days, it was 48.
I tell you, the last guy that took 48 strokes, he was probably this tall. It was before my time. He got sentenced 48 strokes for armed robbery. You know what happened to his backside? It turned to mincemeat.
People, give us your love and support this episode. Share it, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next reports. The more likes we get, the more people who are actually interested in this stuff will see this. Enduring pain and never snitching were the 2 key rules in the triads.
These people still call themselves secret society members, but the things that they do are very different. There's no real sense of loyalty. Just like when you go to the police, you get arrested, we don't rat. That's one thing we don't do. We don't tell. We don't reveal secrets. But believe you me, nowadays the youngsters, if they get caught, they will spill their guts out, all right, in order to save their own skin. Back then, we don't do that. Let's see, what is another thing that one of the things that I was taught when I was young was this too. When we go for a fight, at the end of the day, what you want is to hurt that person, not to kill him.
The members of the triads knew where to hit if they wanted to simply scare someone or when they wanted to kill.
where you step a person to hurt and where you step a person to kill.
You want to know the best part? I think right now the correct scientific term is called glutimus maximus. You know what's that? Dude, when you stab someone in the butt, trust me, he ain't gonna die, but he's gonna hurt a lot. Because just imagine, back then they didn't have toilets, you had to squat to go to a toilet, right? So you just imagine, as the wound is healing, every time he squats, the wound opens up. It's gonna take a long time to heal. I bet he's gonna remember that.
And if you want to kill someone, what is the best part?
I don't like, there are many parts that once you inflict a wound, he's as good as dead. For example, the neck, kidney areas, painful but slower death is you stab someone in the stomach.
Becoming a part of the Triad wasn't easy. You had to be approved and initiated. Most of the time, it involved taking an oath of allegiance, sometimes even a blood oath. Many gang members got tattoos with numeric codes. 49 was for rookies with no special privileges. 426 for a high-ranking member, a red pole. 489 for the boss. In Russia, for example, a tattooed star was worn by a crime boss. A crown was the sign of the high-ranking thief. Cards and spades were for gamblers and con artists. But while Russian gangsters got their ink right in prison, in Singapore it was strictly forbidden. Bruce spent a total of over 20 years behind bars and knows how to survive and bend every bendable rule. For example, they had a system of communication between the cells that worked and ran 24/7, my friends.
2 doors are closed, all right? 2 doors are closed, a wall in between. We want to pass tobacco to the next cell. So what we do is, from our blankets or from our clothing, we pull out a string that is as long as the door. Attached to this end, we attach something heavy. Most of the time what we'll do is we'll take paper, put homemade glue, using rice glue, to stick it together, and then it becomes a hard piece of paper. Attach the hard piece of paper to the end of the string, and all you need to do is do this. You flick it, and it gets it. Ta-da!
We walked into a little cafe and Bruce immediately ran into someone he knew.
Hello, Chris. So you was in a jail for how long?
Well, I think... Okay, wait. Let me do the math. I was in prison for close to 16 years for my rate of offenses.
His life story is quite similar to Bruce's. He started doing drugs at an early age, joined the gang, and did multiple stints behind bars.
So I was caught glue sniffing by my mom, and my dad came back and he told me, said that if you do not want to study anymore, then quit school, quit study, and go to work. So I went to work at my dad's friend's place, and there was someone who's using heroin. So I bunked in with him. I stayed with him at that point of time, but I was still glue sniffing.
But after glue, Chris quickly moved to more potent stuff. At first, he was just using, but by 17, he was also dealing on the streets. At 23, he was facing yet another prison sentence, and he fled to Malaysia and took his business international. He worked his way up from being a small-time dealer to a real drug lord. He operated a network of couriers, some of whom smuggled drugs inside their own bodies.
It is not as complicated as you might think about swallowing or hiding it in somewhere, in some orifice in their body, but they just simply bring across. Because the land crossing in Singapore, I think, is one of the busiest in the world, and based on peak hour traffic, there's so many motorcycles and so many cars coming in a particular point of time that it is almost impossible to check every single one of them.
They didn't even need to move a kilo. Couriers got paid up to 3,000 Singapore dollars. That's about 2,340 USD for just transporting 20 grams. These days, Chris is out of the game, but he'll stay on the law enforcement radars for life.
But we are recognized, so I've registered with the Secret Society branch of Singapore as a member of a secret society. So in Singapore, we do register the members. You might find it strange, yes, but yes, it means they take the mug shots, front, left, right, photos of tattoos, okay, and then they will register you as a member of which part of Singapore you are at, your place of control is.
If anything suspicious goes down in the area, the cops will contact him for cooperation to obtain some relevant info. But Chris has nothing to fear now. He's gone legit working with ex-cons, training them and helping them adjust to normal life. Alex met him at a cozy cafe. The place suggested nothing unusual, a cute coffee spot like many others. Except if you look at the bulletin board on the wall, you'll see that it's covered with post-it notes saying you can do it, keep going, don't give up. The thing is, every employee here is an ex-con, a recovering addict or a gang member gone clean. They've been through hell, and every single day they have to battle their own personal demons.
Approximately about 5 times, and total is up to maybe 15-16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old was you when you first time ended up in the jail?
14.
What did you do?
That was is under the young offender department, so it's drugs.
Sabrina smoked her first joint when she was 11 out of curiosity and got hooked. Her life quickly went downhill like so many other boys' and girls'. She used and did time in prison. She'd get out, use again, and land back behind bars. It seemed like nothing good could ever happen in her life. It is truly a miracle that Sabrina managed to quit.
I can say it's family, my children. Yeah. See, I have 6 kids. Yeah. And also my husband, which is a godsend, because for the past that I used to have, I never thought of getting married. So after God sent him to me, he's a non-abuser, he's a good man, but after God sent him to me, he tried to support me and give me the support.
Sabrina was really lucky that she quit early enough to start building a normal life. Jamie, on the other hand, an elderly woman working at the cafe next door, is still fighting her addiction. She's 63 now and she'd been using for 50 years.
I started using because I was stupid, unfortunately. I saw my friend go looking for drugs one day, and the next day I went looking for my friend. That was a stupid mistake. I was terrified the first time because I was so young. I was 13. I couldn't stop crying.
And first time, how long you was in the jail?
My first prison time was short, just 9 months.
Jamie also has a daughter who's 35 now, and she barely saw her mother growing up. Jamie was either high or doing time. She still had to check in with the police after she relapsed again recently. But in a way, she's still lucky, simply because she's still alive. Singapore has harsh laws. Get caught with drugs and they might just hang you.
35 years imprisonment in Singapore for bringing in 3 pounds of heroin, but he wasn't hanged because the purity of it sucks.
Singapore doesn't mess around when it comes to drugs. The penalties depend on what you're charged with. For using, you're looking at about 10 years behind bars and a $20,000 fine. Possession will get you up to 30 years and 15 cane strokes. Drug trafficking charges are associated with the heaviest punishments that vary depending on the quantity and quality of the substance involved. Trafficking of any quantity over half a pound is punishable with death penalty, and there are no exceptions. There's almost no way to get off the hook, except if you can prove you were just a mule. That might get you a life sentence, if you're lucky. Surely, local kingpins never even cared about what might happen to their peddlers and couriers. They were considered expendable.
Do you have this experience that any of the people who was crossing the border with your stuff and get caught and later get hanged? Or that's never happened?
Get caught, yes, but hang, at that point of time, money means a lot to me. So I don't care. I don't think any of the traffickers care.
A deal gone wrong can even get you a serious punishment without court or trial.
In Singapore, we have a law called Section 55. It used to be for political prisoners only, meaning when you get sentenced to Section 55, they don't tell you how long you're going in for, number one. Number two, no evidence is needed, right? Initially, it was for political prisoners, and then from there, it extended to gangsterism. Then from gangsterism, it extended to drugs, and now it has also, the law is also extended to prostitution, human trafficking, and money laundering.
Singapore's laws are notoriously harsh, enough to shock many outsiders. Back in the early 1990s, American writer William Gibson was so overwhelmed by what he saw on his visit that he penned his first major piece of nonfiction, an article under the title Disneyland with the death penalty, describing Singapore as a sterile tropical city which may look perfect on the surface but has no flicker of real life and creativity except in the one place that we've already introduced you to. Geylang. Geylang is also your go-to place if you want to have an authentic local street food experience. The area is full of cafes and eateries, some even Michelin recommended. When global food critics give their stamp of approval, you know it must be worth your buck. At one of the Geylang joints, Alex met Tommy over a bowl of frog meat with porridge, Singapore's quirky delicacy that's somehow both bizarre and delicious.
Over here, you have the frog. So originally the frog will be cooked in a lot of spices, a lot of herbs. So you see all the frog bits here. And then you have another pot. This is the porridge.
So it's like a rice porridge.
Yeah, so you just take one bowl each. Take some porridge, put it in a bowl. Because the porridge is actually pretty plain, so it's really good to eat with the very spiced frogs. Then we just get a spoon. It's a bit hot. Just take the whole frog in and have a bite.
Tasty, like all Asian food, but nothing special. It's just meat. Honestly, if it were just chicken or pork, I wouldn't really notice the difference. But frogs, my friends, are beginner-level exotic foods. Alex wanted to take things up a notch. And now it's time for the grand finale of today's tour, the dinner. And guess where Tommy's taking me? To a place that serves penises. He doesn't yet know that he'll be the only one eating them. The restaurant has an impressive display case with all the exotic food they serve. They've got everything: dried snakes, seahorses, scorpion chips, folks. Imagine scorpion-flavored Lay's, right? An unidentified tongue, a turtle shell, and none of this is for decoration. Locals actually eat this stuff. The dining room was half empty though. Guess true connoisseurs of Chinese delicacies are a rare breed. This is a classic Chinese restaurant table. It's got this turntable on top, known as a lazy Susan. It's usually made of glass. You put the dishes on it, and it's super handy when you've got a big group. Just give it a spin, and everyone can grab whatever they want. Because in Chinese cuisine, traditionally you order many different dishes to share, whether you're a company of 2 or 20. And everyone gets to try a bit of everything. Alex ordered a jellyfish salad and crocodile tail steak. Tommy stayed true to his word and asked for deer penis soup. Honestly, without the waiter's explanation, I wouldn't even know the soup was made of deer dicks. They come all sliced. But here, let me show you. This is a piece of a deer penis, which they say has some extreme therapeutic value. And since no one wants to chew a dry deer schlong, they make soup and even wine out of it. That wine costs nearly 700 Singapore dollars. That's over $500 US, people. Ouch! The deer penis soup is both an exotic dish and an herbal remedy. It is cooked with a lot of herbs. They also throw in seahorses and various other ingredients. And the Chinese swear they boost health, strength, stamina, increase vitality, and do a whole lot of good for your health. You just name it. That is why the Chinese people eat dicks, swallow nests, eat shark fins, and all kinds of unusual stuff. Not because they're quirky, but because the Chinese medicine has been praising these things for their medicinal and healing properties for years and centuries.
How it smells like? Like a penis or like a wine?
I feel that the herbs that they use are very strong, so I can only smell the strong herbal flavors. Not really in particular a penis. Not that I know what it smells like.
The Chinese will eat any bizarre stuff and make it edible by using lots of herbs and spices. So basically, it all tastes pretty much like all Chinese food in general.
Texture-wise, it just crumbles in your mouth.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be more collagenous-like, but yeah, it crumbles. But it doesn't really have an inherent flavor. In fact, almost like eating cardboard.
While Tommy was treating himself to deer penises, Alex was served a crocodile tail. And I have discovered a slight problem. The crocodile tail isn't exactly small. It's not huge either, but still. And it's got a really tough bone running through it. And so to eat this croc, I'd need to slice it up. And I decided to get the help of the waitress who works here, because she's a pro at handling these things, while I have honestly no idea how to even start cutting up a crocodile tail. Oh wait, I got a bit of a bone, but overall, it's really delicious. If it were pork, chicken, or frog meat that I have already tried, it'd still be delicious, because the Chinese really know how to cook all these things. As for the tail itself, the skin is like jelly now.
На хвосте она сейчас как желе.
So, eating a crocodile is more or less like eating some meat with jelly. Or, to be more precise, I'm eating jelly with meat inside, like a jelly and meat pie. I find it really hard to describe the taste of the meat itself because there are so many spices, ingredients, and sauces. But hey, I'm a fan of any Chinese food because it's all yummy. Singaporean cuisine is a mix of culinary traditions from all the people who live here. The majority are Chinese, almost 75%. The second largest group is the Malays, 15%, and the next are Indians, 7%. The last 3% are Europeans, Americans, Arabs, Japanese, Jews, and Russians. People participating in bike races usually have no idea that pedaling next to them might be some former street gang fighters or recovering addicts. Andrew knows how hard it is to return to normal life after prison. He got his first sentence when he was 18. He was charged with participating in a gang fight and was facing 2.5 years behind bars. He managed to get his sentence reduced to 9 months. But as soon as he was out, he went back to drugs and of course, ended up in prison again. He quit only after he nearly died.
I came out according to take drugs, but it was not until I got an overdose and I lost my job because I was high at my workplace and I couldn't work and I got caught on the spot. So I was terminated and that sort of shook me and I was humiliated, because I was thinking to myself what I had become.
Bruce also had his epiphany one fine day.
First 4 times that I went to prison, I wasn't married. So each time I went in, it was about bidding my time when I come out and then partying again, getting involved in drugs and crimes. The last time that I was in prison was very different because not only was I married, but I had a daughter. On one particular visit when she came, that day was very special because that day was her birthday. She had turned 4, the exact day. Her mother had bought her a brand new dress and she was so proud of her dress. She sat down, I sang her birthday song. All of us were singing, clapping, happy birthday to you. She was so happy. And then at the end of the song, my daughter looked at me and she said, Dada, Carrie. When I heard her say that, of course, my heart dropped like a ton of bricks. Being 4 years old, she didn't quite understood the concept of prison, and in her excitement, she failed to see the glass that was separating us. And when I did nothing, she looked at me quizzically and she said more forcefully, "Dada, Kerry!" And I did the only thing I could. I shook my head. So when she saw me shaking my head, she cried and she bawled, "I want to go home, I want to go home." She was crying so uncontrollably that her mother had to bring her to leave. She was affecting the other inmates having their visit. That day was the worst day of my entire life, because can you imagine a child wanting from her father for her birthday? It wasn't a toy, a car, bring her to the playground, cake. All she wanted was for me to carry it, and I could not do it. I considered that day the worst day of my entire life. That event broke my heart to the extent where I told myself, "Bruce, you have to call it a day. Call it a day."
Bruce was nearing the end of his term, but decided not to waste time and turned to the only method available to him right there in his cell.
So what I did was, in my cell, I just said a short prayer, "God, please help me, I want to change." I made a renouncement, a public renouncement of my secret society affiliations. I attended chapel service, went for Bible study classes. And I tell you, it's not easy to lead a change and different life in prison.
As soon as he got out, Bruce checked into rehab and managed to beat his addiction. And get this, he'd been using for 30 years. During all that time, he had countless close calls with death. He could have OD'd or died in a street fight, but he has turned his life around and is now helping others do the same.
I do not earn a lot because I chose to sacrifice my time in order to do my volunteer work. In terms of money, I get by. I scrape. Every month I get by.